Christy Lister here with Beyond the First Response. I'm here with Robyn Michael, my co-host, and our special guest, Tracy Harwell. How are you today?
I'm great. Good morning, ladies. I'm so happy to be here.
We are so excited to have you. You have no idea. We always have conversations before we start. I'm like, every time we do this, it's like the guest is it's just perfectly fitting.
That's awesome. Divinely designed.
Exactly. I agree. So, we like to do an icebreaker. Robyn, did you by chance get an icebreaker together?
Yeah, it's my favorite one, actually, because it's morning time. So I would love to know what your favorite breakfast cereal is.
I'm gluten. If I had to pick one that I used to be able to eat, Frosted Flakes.
Okay.
Frosted
That's a
Flakes.
solid standard. I like that one. Yeah.
Captain Crunch, but just the amount of sugar makes me go, don't say that.
And that always ripped up my gums.
Captain Crunch.
Love
Donovan
it.
eats that. He likes crunch berries. That's his absolute favorite.
That's funny.
Nice.
Good old days.
I know. I like Lucky Charms or Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But Lucky Charms, it's like I feel like I'm getting part of something healthy, and then you get the marshmallows in there and save them, but you save them for last because then they get all like milky.
I always pick the marshmallows out of that. So I guess the cereal itself would be healthy then, just not the marshmallows.
Right. It's like
You can
Cheerios.
buy the marshmallows now.
I know.
Marshmallows. I picked the St. Patrick ones out because I was making special treats. And I'm sitting here with the cereal separating it.
Special treats.
Special treat.
You can deliver those to my house. I don't care which marshmallow it goes in.
Right.
All right. So we all like sugar, of course, and none of us should have it. Right? Because it is what it is. I don't care. A treat once in a while.
Right.
That's all that matters. So I'm excited because Tracy, I was introduced to you actually in two ways. We met, it was 2.5, 3 years ago with Heather at Keller Williams Infinity when she did her event.
Okay.
So Heather told me that after she talked to you. And then we also, yes, I was there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Small world, right? But then I re-met you with somebody that I know and that knows you, that worked with you. So because that's a patient thing, I'm not going to say who it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she was so grateful. And then she wanted you knew that I was working on, or she knew I was working on mental health class with realtors. So she said, you should try her. And that's how we got reintroduced. And then we were with each other Tuesday night again with our friend Heather, who had another event. So fun stuff. But during the first conversation, we had a great conversation about you help first responders with what you do. Yes,
I do. I help everyone, but of late, I would say in the last 6 months, more and more first responders are coming to me. They don't want things on the books.
Yeah.
They feel threatened by that at this point in the game with let's just say, the way things are right now. And that surprised me as someone who is not considered a certified mental health professional. My profession is still in our state uncertified. So there's different states and different things, but they were like, no, we don't want this billed. And when I saw that, I said to myself, really, how many people are hiding? And how many people aren't reaching out for help because of this, because of that fear that if it shows up on an insurance form, no one trusts HIPAA anymore. And then the standard practice that they're not being protected. So in that increase, that's how it started to flow. And it was literally like one, and they just came coming.
Word of mouth.
So I'm making that kind of my priority. And I do come from a background of police and fire myself. So I have family members on both sides and a lot of friends that are on the end out, and then there's the new generation coming in. And how do we prepare them for something that the older generation has never seen?
And do you think, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Jump on that one.
Yeah.
Do you think that the new generation is more open? Are you finding that they're more open to mental health
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
They come in with apps and they come in doing research because they're Google babies. Google babies. And I will say this, I'm certified in emotional replacement therapy, which is a very specific type of hypnosis that addresses trauma. Any and all kinds of trauma. Trauma is not just soldiers or an event. Trauma is any experience the brain can't wrap around and answer to. And it can be the simplest things from a child's perspective, let alone an adult. The younger ones, I will tell you, it is so much easier to work with them because it's not buried for decades.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So their stuff is right on the surface and they address it and they go, okay. And I'm like,
are you sure?
I really should just work with young people. It's easier. But being 50 something, I'm like, no, we all need that healing in that space.
Right.
To shift.
We do. And I think that is the good thing. They're coming in fresh with not, I always say 5 years, 3 to 5 years. I learned the other night when I had that conversation, fire 6 to 11 years is what they said. So very interesting to hear that. But I also said that's because fire, I think you have those conversations at the dinner table and then on the tailgate of the truck. What was the term that was used?
Yeah,
I remember.
He calls them tailgate talks or something like that. But
yeah,
where they reassess after an event, and the police don't get to do that.
No,
they get shoved to the next call immediately.
Right. So that's I think that's the only true reason I think it takes a little bit longer for that numbness or not re-engaging emotionally to set in.
Right.
That's my thought. Obviously, I have no proof, but based on conversations that I've had with people, I think that's part of it.
Right.
Now, we did not say what you do because I wanted to start that conversation. No, I'm not, because I wanted to start that conversation exactly how we did, because I think it's important, because there's so many different types of ways to process, ways to teach yourself or be taught how to carry that tool with you, that you don't always have to go into an office. You don't always have to dial them up at a telecall, or however you're comfortable doing that. But this is just another tool for that mental well-being box that we all carry. And us, as I can't believe I'm saying us as an older generation, but we are, us as an older generation have left empty for so many years. So our goal is to build that. So hypnotherapy is what you do. Correct?
Yeah, I'm a certified self-development coach, transformation. So I do the heavy lifting. I go back into a lot of parent-child wounding because everything really starts there.
It does.
So we can look at a profession and show statistics, but humans are humans are humans. And we all have experiences that are locked up in our subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind has one job: keep us safe and keep us alive. Hello, first responders. You are always living in a state of fight or flight, right? Because that's what you do. You have to be. You train for that.
Mentally trained.
And then when the wall is hit, yes, mentally and physically.
Physically, yeah.
So, like you said, the toolbox, I think that's the one thing that they are maybe missing out on. I know fire has a little bit more set up for help in that aspect, but I think a lot of us don't even have a mental health toolbox. We didn't know one existed. And that's where the age difference comes in too. The younger generation knows about it. It's everywhere, plastered now on social media.
Yeah.
But that's really only in the last 5 years since COVID that it's gotten so big.
And our toolboxes were all hidden underneath the rug, right? That you stomped on, that nobody acted like they were there. It's like they were buried under the rug with all the dirty little secrets, or what people thought were secrets, because emotions is such a big thing to take in. And so you can never be.
And I think also, I think our generation and young and older, we don't seek help, or we don't have a toolbox, because we would never seek help until for lack of a better term, shit hit the fan.
Right.
There's no maintenance per se. And I think that, again, the younger generation and seeing TV commercials and stuff, that it's just different now. It's all about getting ahead of it. And I like that you brought up that everything goes back to childhood trauma, because I know when I'm talking to people about what's the solution for first responder suicide, and I try to think of, I mean, I'm not trained by any means. I'm just going off of my own experience, but there is no one solution because it all depends on, DNA. It depends on what they experienced during childhood, how they grew up, culture, all of that stuff, because this person over here may have gone through the exact same things as a first responder and be able to deal with it. And this person over here hits a wall and can't. And it's about the person. And after my husband died, I asked my in-laws, is there something that happened to him as a child? Because that was the first thought, that ran through my head, because there were things that he told me about, not specific, but just made me wonder, I wonder if there was something going on that either he had blacked out on and wasn't even aware of, or that he's not willing to talk about. And that just, everything just, made a perfect explosion in the end.
And like you said, the difference between people, the difference between family dynamics, right? Gen Xers are well known for pushing it down.
Yeah.
Move on, right? We just push it down, push it down, push it down. And now what we're experiencing is the imploding of all the pushing down.
The final breaking point for some.
Yeah. And, in conversations with people that I know, they go for so long and then they hit the wall. Yeah. And it's when they hit the wall, they can't get up. So now they're dealing with a whole nother level, because once it comes up, it just comes up with a vengeance. Yeah. And that's what I'm seeing, the high levels of anxiety. I am a little bit of a neuroscience junkie. I have a nephew who is nonverbal autistic. So the minute he was diagnosed, I went into brain function. And honest to God, it's been a really big gift because it's taught me so much. And I will say, just like in sports, they talk about the concussion factor. Start questioning all these first responders on how many concussions they have had.
They probably don't even know.
Most do, though. When you bring it up, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've had a bunch." And concussions become repetitive. So once you have one, you're more likely to have more. And I did a recovery process with someone I was working with, and it was amazing. Our brains are very delicate. So just like family dynamic, what happened to you when you were little? How many times did you hit your head? Literally. Because some people are fine and some people aren't. And we have to look at all of it. And we don't. Medically, we don't. Oh, you're anxious? Here's the pill. Yeah. Here's a therapist. Have a nice day.
Here you go. Don't come back to us.
The core issues. We're not addressing the core issues.
Right.
And that is usually what happened to you and what was your experiences as a child. We got to stop saying what's wrong with you and say what happened to you.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with you. We just need to uncover what's been buried for decades in some cases.
Well, then when you say that, I go to, oh God, what am I doing to my child? Like, what is he going to have when he's an adult?
But you're teaching him tools now by showing him the strength in you.
I mean, he's going to carry his father's death for sure. His father's suicide, but
So that right there, Robyn, is like, that's the parent guilt, right? And every parent carries it. Oh, what have I done? I'm so screwed up. I'm screwing up my kids. Guess what? Our parents screwed us up. Generational trauma, and I address that too.
You're not special, Robyn.
So Robyn, sorry. But the truth is, that's life, right? And every parent, no matter how wonderful or horrid, has made you have an experience, and they've done, I believe, the best that they can, because we're not asking what happened to them, right?
So true.
This keeps going. It's perpetual. And when you look at fire and police, that the fathers and the sons follow in order, they're following the same way they were raised.
Yeah.
That is
and
so
don't even
true.
get me started if we go into the whole level of what is a man and how we raise men to not feel and think and have emotions. Yeah. And I think now, Robyn, like with the generation now with your kids, we're not doing that to men anymore. We're not doing that to little boys when they're emotional, suck it up.
Yeah.
Right? We're allowing them to express and have their own emotions and feelings. That's a move forward. That's a decade after decade after decade moving forward with allowing feelings and holding a space for people to actually feel comfortable. And that's what I pride myself on. God made me a vessel that I can hold the space for people and they're comfortable with me.
And
Because they don't have to hide.
Yeah. And letting go of that feeling of being uncomfortable when somebody is showing emotion. When you said that, I'm like, wait, people get uncomfortable with showing emotion inside themselves. Right. That's why they shut it off on somebody else.
If you think about it, I do a lot of, I just came back from the Bahamas. I did a big retreat, which was healing. We did a parent healing session. It lasted 7 hours. It was insanely intense. But as you saw the other night, a few people had teared up at the event we were at, right? I got up and got napkins and I placed them on the table.
I saw.
We unconsciously will want to help someone by handing them a tissue. But what that's doing is saying, I'm uncomfortable with your tears. So here, stop. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to do that to people. We want to let them express those emotions. The tears and the snot will go away eventually. Yeah. We'll hand them a tissue and let them grab for it. But that's even a subconscious way that we go, here you go. You can stop that now.
Wow. Never really thought about that.
That is so true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Almost like, here's a tissue, shut up.
Yeah. I mean, I have tissues next to my client's chair, but I won't hand it to them. I'll go, there's tissue there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true.
It's amazing how much our own discomfort, and we have to look at ourselves on that, our own discomfort with emotion and what it'll bring up in us.
Yes, that's exactly, that's kind of the conversation, Robyn, you and I had before we came on.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about what the conversation was, but that is really, I mean, she said it so much more eloquently than I did.
I don't remember what I say.
We'd have to bleep out. No, we wouldn't have to bleep out. I swore like a truck driver. However,
so do I. I'm professional.
Me too.
Right.
For
this hour. Then I get to go back in between my phone calls for work. But no, and that's exactly what she said eloquently is exactly what we were talking about before, which is why it's so amazing that people come into our lives in this moment during, when we need to hear it the most. Not that it makes it easier, right?
Yeah, no, but it helps people know that there is hope and there is help.
We're not alone.
We're all going to get through it.
Right.
And that's what I have to remind myself of everything that happens. Like, this is just this moment in time. It's going to be better the next moment. I'm going to stop crying, in about 15 to 20 minutes.
Right.
I'm going to feel better.
It's a period at the end of the sentence. It's not the end of the story.
Right? Yeah.
It's a way to release.
I wanted to circle back too on what you said about emotion and our kids that, so this past weekend, my husband's name was put on a memorial wall in California, in Sacramento, for fallen firefighters, which in and of itself is amazing considering that he died by suicide. And during the ceremony, I obviously I have my own emotion and was crying quite a bit, but I pay attention to my son too. And I just want to make sure that he's showing emotion because I think it's important. And I don't want him to bottle it up because it doesn't feel good. And so I asked him, when's the last time you cried about Dad? And he said, Mom, I was crying during the ceremony, but I was so wrapped up in my own pain, which is great. But I was actually happy to hear that he was shedding tears and feeling it. So
it's good to hear that you were letting yourself grieve and not being so consumed by worrying about him that you were able to process that. And I think that's important to even show the kids in general.
Yeah.
That's a strength right there.
Well, there were other family members around too, on the other side, sitting on the other side of him. So I knew that, my sister-in-law would help him if need be, that it doesn't always have to be me.
But the truth is you're showing him that it's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a masculine energy to show him that his emotions are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so
That's
true.
the other thing, and single moms everywhere are concerned about not having dad present. Guess what? Women create and raise strong children too.
Right. And honestly, when there is two parents in the home, and that does go back to first responders, right? If your marriage is still intact, just because your marriage is intact, if they are struggling, they are a shell and not the person in which you know them to have been, right? So there's it's still, in a sense, single parenting because you don't have that backup because they don't have a backup for themselves. And I'm not blaming them at all in
No,
that aspect.
No,
I'm
but
just
you're right.
pointing
And
out.
that's where the communication of the couple really comes into play.
Right.
And I've had clients that come in and go, I don't know why she puts up with me. I don't know why he put up with me. And actually, I had a female first responder that he just walked out. He says, you got to manage your anger issues. The anger wasn't coming from 20 years on the job. The anger is coming from what happened to her as a child and her trust in herself and the guilt and the shame. I mean, we're human beings. And
Right.
that's where it comes from. So it goes both ways. But yeah, when one partner's down, guess what? The other partner's got to step up and manage it all.
Yeah.
So then that person needs a level of care too. And really, honestly, everything is going to come down to openness and communication, which again, know who you are and what your communication styles are.
And understand
big
them.
one for first responders because they keep it away from their family.
They're in a need to know. But yeah, and that's my big thing. That's Robyn's and my big thing. I'm actually working on a family responder readiness, and the model that was given to me, I'm like, well, this is shit. And I know that he may or may not hear that, but it is because, and I don't care because I already said it. I will say, if I say something to you about something, if I say something to you about it, I've already addressed it to them, or I have no problem addressing it to somebody else. But the fact of the matter is they try and keep it away from their family, but you have to mirror because you are your family. At home, your work comes home. At work, your family comes with you. Home comes with you because it's all you. So none of this crap that we have to use it differently. We have to speak it differently. I think Robyn and I are here to say that we get it. We understand it. We can help you process it.
Yeah.
Have faith in your family. You have faith in the guys that are backing you up on your job. Have faith in your family backing you up. But that goes back to that childhood that maybe they, in fact, something happened that they did not. And
I read something recently and I feel like I was like, wow, I feel personally attacked by this, but that when you're so used to doing things on your own, you become hyper independent because people don't follow through on what I was like, holy cow, that's me to a T. Like, I don't let people help me. I'll just figure it out myself because I've been let down so much throughout my lifetime. I know that goes back to childhood. Sorry, mom and dad.
That's huge. And so Tracy, you met my boyfriend, Matt. He is the most supportive man I've ever met in my life. Like, I feel like if I say, can you do this? He would do it. And then I feel bad. I'm like, well, no, but I'm so used to doing everything myself. Or I'll ask somebody, there's no follow through and I'm doing it myself anyway.
Yeah.
So I carry that with me. Like, I feel so bad. It's frustrating for me. And I know it's frustrating for him. And we do have that conversation. And that's, so we do have that communication. But that's a prime example. That's the hardest thing for me because I'm hyper independent because it was always me doing everything. And to let that go is so hard because it's like waiting for that shoe to drop. Mm-hmm. And then you're just going to carry that shoe with you because if it's going to drop, it's going to be on your terms, but then you'll never get to move forward. And that sucks.
That sense of control that somehow gives us this false sense of security.
Right.
But I understand completely because I am exactly the same way.
Which are first responders too.
Again, I've been shown that if I don't do it myself, but I'm learning every day to let other people help me.
Yes, because we have to have faith in other people because life is a team sport, right?
Right.
And you're not alone on this earth. Like, you're not alone with feeling those feelings, but we as humans suck everything in. We just have to learn to let it go. And that's what hypnotherapy kind of does, right? In a sense, it's giving you the tools to do that. Obviously there's different types. So I was looking on your website, hypnosis for my grandpa when he was younger in his 20s. So this is dating way back in the 40s. He was a smoker. He did hypnosis to quit smoking and it worked. So for a good Catholic man to do that is amazing, but it worked. So we know that it's been around for a very long time, and then it's more hypnosis. Now it's hypnotherapy. Is there a difference between the two?
So the technicality of hypnotist, which I'm professional certified hypnotist and trainer. I'm actually trained to teach people hypnosis, and really all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So the teaching aspect is just a bonus. Hypnotherapist, the only people who can call themselves hypnotherapists, even though it's hypnotherapy all day, are mental health certified counselors. My difference is certified counselors are very heady and they don't go into the heart space. I've been given a gift that I can get directly there. Hypnosis really is a focus and a relaxation, which are like, huh? But everything that we've just discussed is about our logical minds, right? We're using our cognitive functions right now, our logical, our skills. It's only 10% of our day. The subconscious mind is running 90% of that shit in the background.
Over and
you're
over.
driving, you're running the store, you're thinking 12,000 things. So we're overthinkers already because of the world we live in. We're multitaskers, right? All of that is what we think cognitive and thinking, but in essence, it's the emotional mind, which is the subconscious mind. It's underneath that iceberg 100 feet deep. That's what's running the show. So until we address those programs, and I literally explain it like defragging a computer. Have you ever tried to find a file on your computer and you know the damn thing's there, but you can't find it? And it's mucking up everything in the background. It comes to your business, it comes to your kids, it comes to your home, it comes to how much money you make. It's all locked in these beliefs from experiences that we have had show proof. And some of it no longer serves us. So if you're still running a 95 Mac, you're not getting anywhere in life, right? So subconsciously, it's about relaxing the mind so the conscious mind gets a chance to go and sit for a minute while the subconscious mind is fully awake because it has one job, keep you safe and keep you alive. So if a suggestion to better yourself, to let go of guilt, shame, anxiety, depression, how much money you're making. I have business professional and salespeople come to me all the time, test taking. I work with a woman who teaches people how to take nurses tests because that's a big fear, right? All of that is simply that subconscious mind that's got an old program. So we go in, we take out that program and we put in a new one because you can't run a Mac 95 anymore.
There's no
and that's really
update.
In essence what hypnosis is. Everybody sees stage hypnosis, and yes, I love to do a handshake induction and drop people. It is fun. I will do it in a bar, but I want people to relax. And the funny thing is, people are like, "Oh my God, I feel so good after a session," and it could be for a simple session for confidence, right? But 20 minutes of hypnosis is like 5 to 6 hours of sleep for the body. Why? Because we finally got to a place where we can stop the brain from spinning.
So as you do that, are they reliving what it is, or are they, in a sense, subconsciously letting go? Are they going to understand what it is to let it go, I guess?
Yes, I'm very specific. Like if you come in for smoking, the goal is to quit smoking, right? If you come in with anxiety, I'm going to talk to you probably most of the session about what are the triggers? Where is this coming from? It's about addressing the core issue. And once we get to the core issue, the people are in the chair already because they want to let it go and they want to be better. Mm-hmm. So right there is that decision. You can't drag your spouse or your friend to quit smoking or lose weight, right? It has to be your own decision. And it depends on how motivated you are. I've had people in one session be like, magic. And we know that person who did one session with me and she was like, yeah, could it be that simple? And I'm like, yeah, it can.
She was like, I go, well, how many sessions? It was one. It was fantastic.
Yeah. It's amazing what can happen when we give ourselves permission to let go.
Right.
Yeah. I think about the whole thing with us widows and feeling like we're in survival mode all the time, because that first few months after a suicide specifically, you are in, if you have kids, especially,
fight or flight.
Yeah, you're in survival mode. And then after being in that for so long, it's really hard to let that go, to feel like you can actually live. I think I'm going to be making an appointment with you.
I'm more than happy to assist.
Yeah.
But you're right? Because there's fight and fright. And then when something like that, there's also something called freeze. So it's not the fight or flight. When that happens, it's freeze, because everything in your world has come to a standstill.
Yeah.
And then there's, how do I move forward? I can't move forward. How do I move forward? I can't move forward. Right.
Yeah,
So
I'm
then
afraid to
that
move
becomes
forward.
the habit that you lock yourself in. And grief is a process. You
Mhm.
know, grief doesn't have a time or an expiration. Grief is a process. However, the shame and the guilt and all of that specifically that comes with suicide, that's the hardest part for the people that are left behind, because it's the woulda, coulda, could I have done? How
Oh,
did I
God.
not know? It's
Yeah.
all of that guilt and shame and I should have known better, right?
Yep.
No. I actually had this conversation the other day with you and then with someone else.
Yeah.
So it's, it's about giving yourself grace to move through your emotions. And if you lost a year or 2 years on the couch, so what? It's what you needed to do for you right now.
Mhm.
And that's all any of us can do. Just do what you need to do right now. We get stuck in the past and that causes depression. We get anxious when we're pushing off to the future, like I should be doing this and I should be doing that. But the power really is in the moment of right now.
Yeah.
And just checking in with right now.
So true. With that, we are going to take a break right now. And then when we come back, I have a couple questions on that thought process. So we'll be right back. We are excited to be able to start our day with Badge Brew Coffee. Hey, Robyn, did you know that Badge Brew has a new charitable badge collab roast?
Hey, Christy, I thought I heard that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's called First Response Roast, with a spicy, smooth, medium roast with flavor notes of spice cake and citrus undertone.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And if that doesn't tempt our audience, a portion of the proceeds go to First Help. Oh, and don't forget, they're first responder family owned. Whether you're on day shift, night shift, or the shift of raising your family, Badge Brew has your coffee ready and waiting.
So let me ask you, what's your badge of honor? Find out by going to badgebrewcoffee.com and order yours. If you want the First Response Roast, click on Charitable Badge Collab. I know I am. All right. We are back with Tracy Harwell, our hypnotherapist, therapist, I don't care, therapist, because that's what we're talking. You are a person. And we are having some incredible conversations, because hypnosis, hypnotherapy, some people think that, it's kooky because it's unknown, right? Much like mental well-being is crazy because you don't want to talk about it. But this isn't just another tool that we can provide families, first responders, families, on how to make that breakthrough to a healing side, to bettering their communication and healing and learning to process what the job does to them and their family. Because as we say, you're all one. Your family's serving next to you. We just don't realize it until we're on this side of suicide, which is why it's so important for us to find tools and different ways, because everybody's different. Everybody's experiences are different, and it gives them another outlet to hopefully let go of some things. So before we went on break, we were talking about in the moment. Now, in the moment can be very scary for us in that time. That the doorbell ringing, that the chief is at your door, that call that you went on, walking back into the house to your family after cleaning up that scene, or, discovering whatever that moment is. And this could be for anybody. So any listeners that are maybe not even a first responder, but any listeners, it doesn't matter. As you stated, trauma is trauma. Something that is unusual for you in life. And a lot of times it does go back to childhood. And I've often heard that from my counselor, what happened in childhood? Well, there's part of my life that I don't know. I've blocked it out. There's reasons you block it out, but that also is that freeze point in life. As you stated, flight, fight. And then when you go through a suicide and grieving is a freeze. And often there are a lot of people, I think, that we feel like, oh, well, look at how far ahead they are in grieving. And then that I feel guilty sometimes because I'm like, how come I'm handling this better than somebody else? Or how come this, how come that? And that kind of makes me freeze again and really question myself. And again, that's a part of a conversation that Robyn and I were having earlier in reference to in that moment. And it's learning from that moment to get past. How do you help first responders or anybody, but first responders through the traumas and their families? Do you work with their families as well? Or have you?
I haven't yet. I've had couples come in like separately. So we address, and I know both sides of it. And that works well because everybody's being heard.
Right.
And then I'm like a mediator for that. Like how can we shift communication, and how can we, like, sometimes it's just not open communication. Like he doesn't know how she feels, she doesn't know how he feels, and I can be a bridge for that, which is a beautiful thing, because everybody leaves a lot happier, and it's not an argument. It's not this anymore because there's someone to buffer. Well, what if you felt this way, or can you see how that would be? So in that essence, yes. I haven't worked with all families, but yes, I've worked with teenagers on up. So
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
Kids.
Teenagers are my favorite. Like I said, teenagers are so close to what triggers them.
Yeah.
That it's simple, done and done.
Now,
and I've had that with my own family.
So first responder teenagers, do you think it's the same?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Because listen, they've grown up not knowing anything else.
True. So in
it's
their
like
mind,
any other family. My dad was a dock worker. All my nieces, their dads are police sergeants, and that's how they grew up. And then grandpa was a police officer, and so it's really not that different. Different per se. I look at my own nieces. No, it really wasn't that different. It still comes down to a family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have trauma in other families and other professions.
So true.
Yeah.
So, first responders are great. And yes, they're our front line, and we want to address that, but people are people.
True. And your family's going to isolate if there's something going on that
no matter what it is.
Yeah. That is very true. Very true.
Addictions in the family or money, like literally we all have these 4 quadrants, right? We have spirituality, we have, like whatever, how you were raised, church, right? These all become our belief systems. Mm-hmm. So in a family unit, if grandma cut the end off the roast every Sunday and put it in the oven, and the kids like, why does grandma do that? Well, go ask great grandma why she did it. Well, my mom did it. Well, why did she do it? Well, I didn't have a pan big enough.
So true.
It's like we have generations of people doing the same thing, even though it's 2022 and we don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, that is so
we have
true.
Other tools. We have bigger pans.
Yeah,
we have tools to put in a toolbox, and that's what it comes down to, right? Building a toolbox for your own mental health.
True. Do you think sometimes people have too many toolboxes? I'm sorry, Robyn.
That's okay.
But when you said a tool for your toolbox, do you think sometimes like that pan, the 20 pans you have to use, do you think sometimes there's so many toolboxes that have been carried along in your family? It's kind of like hoarding, that you don't know where it goes for you.
Other thing. Yeah, but that's where personal development does come in. Okay. And you have to take a look at how you do it and why you do it. And that's, in the spiritual world, which I am very spiritual, they call it the shadow work. When you're examining yourself, and when you have that awareness that you can push yourself away from the family dynamic and go, okay, this is why my mother did this, and this is why this one did that, and I don't need to do that anymore. That's the freedom that you allow yourself through the process, that you are the one to change the way it goes forward. Just like you, Robyn, showing the emotion and showing your son that emotion is okay to have, that breaks those generational patterns. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple.
I wanted to take it back a little bit. I'm really curious to know, how did you get started in doing this? And are you, I've seen a few psychics, like I kind of always marry the two. You have to have a sense of people's energy and, I don't know, ancestral history, I guess, is the best way for me to kind of think about it. Do you have a touch of that too?
Are you calling?
No, I have no, that's Not at all, actually.
But you were dead on. So
really? Wow.
yeah, my grandmother, my father's mother, she read cards and she was very psychic. And I always thought my sister had the gift, and my sister does have the gift, but I always put it off and I always ignored what I knew. Right. And you can lie to me and my body will tell me you're lying to me. That's just, and that like made me think I was a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs myself.
Yeah.
Because I needed to discern like why I don't like you. Like I don't like you.
I do the same thing. Christy and I have had this conversation before.
Right? And I can call bullshit. Bullshit.
That is hilarious.
So on that note, yeah, I do have psychic gifts. I do not do what other people do, like stand on stage and bring through past loved ones. Have I done it? Can I do it? Yes. Went out last night and a woman's like, my husband died last month. Is he here? I'm like, I don't do that. Like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's where my dark sense of humor almost spits something out that would not have been appropriate for anybody else who doesn't understand
I'm sorry,
that.
I'm watching Channel 9 right now. Let me tune into Channel 7 because it is a frequency that I'm not thinking about when I'm having drinks and a burger at a bar.
This isn't the porn channel. Sorry, he's not here.
Right?
That was a clean version. I got it out. Okay.
Say that my journey has really been about my personal healing. I am an international best-selling author for a toilet read. It's 37 pages and it's a story from when I was 10 years old, how everyone around me thought they were going to fix the broken me. And I wasn't really broken, but they really instilled that I was broken. So I spent 40 years trying to become what everybody else wanted me to be. And in that process, I learned enough about myself. And I've been in relationships and situations I've stayed way too freaking long. I'm human too. But I can't literally when God does something, God does something. I remembered seeing a woman on Oprah Winfrey and I saw a banner that she wrote a book and I was like, oh, she wrote a book. Oh, and she lost 100 pounds. Click. And I went to see it. And fast forward, I went to a book signing where she spoke for 2 hours. And then she's like, oh, I saw something in you. I saw a light go on. And I have been with her for 6 years. I was a student for many years. And now I coach her high-end clients. I've been all over the country with her. And because of her, my life is unrecognizable. So it's in that work and in that process that you continue to grow. And I believe God will continue to open the doors the more that you open yourself. So the healing is a necessity so that I can be a vessel for other people. And with that said, when people are in my chair, they might come in for smoking or weight loss. And in 2 minutes in my chair, I call it the magic chair, they're crying because they found a safe space and whatever. I'm like, your intake format, this has nothing to do with the Snicker bar. Like, and we get to the core and we get to shift it. I am a vessel. I don't think I'm important, or it's working through me. Mm-hmm. And it is, I do consider it a gift and I cherish it and I'm grateful for it. That I'm open and I'm that space for people to come and find their healing in themselves, because we heal ourselves. Nobody's fixing you. Your awareness is going to move you to the next best level of you.
Yeah. So
yeah, I see and I hear and I just open to what that person needs.
Yeah, I say a lot of times, and I feel weird saying it, but I think in a Facebook post recently after the ceremony, I said it, that I'm grateful for what I have been through because I've been able to see the side of humanity that most people in this lifetime would not be able to see. And it just gives you a different take on people and what they're capable of, good and bad. But it's hard to say that because, I don't wish that my husband had died. Like that's not, no, it's just that I'm grateful to, however it happened, be able to have this experience.
Yeah. Somebody recently said, oh my God, you've been through so much. I'm like, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be the coach and the mentor that I am. Absolutely. I crawled through it and obviously someone brought me through it for a reason.
Yeah.
But the other side's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is.
So keep swimming.
You got to want to get there. Now, obviously, when first responders go on admin to receive help, they're not forced to see you to get back to work.
Right.
They are asked to go see a counselor, psychologist, whatever that is in their departments per their administrative leave. What is something that people that are contemplating right now to get help? What is something that, other than it has nothing to do with HIPAA, nobody's going to find out because it's not charged to insurance. What is something that could persuade them to come in? To give them that, I guess that, oh, I'm going to try that.
I think the whole thing is a lot for first responders is that it won't show up on their insurance and that there's no recourse. I keep no paper files. I legally will not. I don't want to know, right? I don't want to have to take all, what did you do? I don't do that. What are you coming in for? I am that safe space. And that's all I can really say about what I am. When people need me and they find me, they feel a comfort with me. And I think that's the gift. And not everyone is for everybody, because the girl who's outside MF and everything is not the same girl that sits across from you, right?
Correct.
When you have a session with me. It's a safe space. And therapists, I'm not going to knock therapists because they're purposeful. But I've had several clients come in that have been in therapy for decades, and it hasn't addressed the trauma. They talk about it, they rip the Band-Aid off, which is supposed to, in essence, make it go away, but it doesn't. It doesn't. When people are still showing up with nightmares from 15 years ago, that's trauma, and trauma gets held in the body, literally in the body. The best book on trauma ever written is called Body Keeps Score. And it's how everything in the body, our physical ailments, things that happen in the body, are all related to the dis-ease. Dis-ease.
Dis-ease, not disease.
Dis-ease. Well, dis-ease creates disease.
Disease, yes.
So in hypnotherapy, we can address that level of trauma. Like you mentioned it a little early. Well, how do you do it without bringing up the trauma and the emotion? I literally say, we don't need to bring it up and talk about it. It's already at the top of your mind, but today we're going to get rid of it. And I can have them access the events without the pain and without the emotion overwhelming them, because they're in a relaxed, focused state and they're safe.
Do you find that people most oftentimes don't know that the things that happened to them in the past happened? Or do they know it?
Yeah, because that subconscious mind, I'll also say, is the gatekeeper, right? And in some programming, because we'll call it what it is, it's a program that's running in your mind. That program doesn't want it to come up. I do something called block removal, subconscious block removals. And it's a process, like I literally relax you and take you down a flight of stairs. And on the stairs are all the things in your life, the shame, the guilt, the whatever. Who knows, you're a hoarder. Whatever it is, your mind brings it up safely. So I do that in group a lot of times, and it's like an introduction. And I had a woman, and they're telling me how their stairs looked and how the guilt was on the stairs, and they kicked it away and all this. And then I had a lady say to me, that didn't work. She goes, those stairs were dark and they were dangerous, and I wasn't going down them.
Because she saw it.
Because she was not going to reach that place. Whatever her brain was unwilling to bring up, she wasn't safe in that group environment to address it. So her mind created bad, ugly stairs. Everybody else's were fine. Wow. So that's the power of hypnosis, that woman then in my hands, one-on-one, we would work to get to that core so that she could uncover and start to release that. It's like a pressure cooker. Yeah. Right. And her mind knew that it was a pressure cooker and didn't let her go there. But that's where I differ, because I'm not just a hypnotist. I'm also a trained trauma and transformation coach. So I know how to bring that out safely and in a space.
Yeah.
And then once you bring it out safely in a space, teaching them to let it go, what you send them home with tools. Because as you stated, and I've heard it over and over, hypnosis is really self-induced.
All hypnosis is self-induced. I can walk you through the process of down the stairs, but I never say what your stairs look like. I never say what the beach at the bottom, the door, the image, the life that you want. I don't say any of that. That's the power. Your mind is very, very powerful, and it can and will create great things or horrible things. You get to choose.
It's true.
Wow.
And how many sessions? I know it can be done in one for some people, but someone who has a lot to work on, and I know it's going to vary. So I know it's kind of that I don't necessarily know question, but on average, how many sessions does somebody usually partake in to understand they have the tools in their own hands?
The deepest I've gone with someone, and they really wanted a level of, they wanted a bunch of different things. They were on a spiritual journey. So they really wanted to connect on that level. And I did, the most I do usually is 6. If we're working with someone who's smoked for 50 years, you know, a one and done is not going to break someone's habit like that. And I can, and sometimes they'll do great for like a month, and then they're like, okay, I need to come back. But you've already proved to yourself you could do a month. So now let's go for 2. So it really is a process of how willing you are to really let it go. And I'll say that the more I do this work, the more I find out that we are people who really like to hold on to guilt and shame and judgment of ourselves, period.
Yes. That
Yeah.
internal bully.
I will agree with that statement.
It is the internal judgment and shaming of ourselves. No one out there is telling us, but again, comparison is the thief of joy. So when you're constantly going, oh, I should be here and I should be there and I should be grieving better or longer or again, it's the self-judgment. And once you're ready to release the shame and the guilt and the judgment and the fear, you carry it for your kids, you carry it for your parents, you carry it for your ex-spouse. Why?
Right.
As soon as you're ready to let that go, the whole world shifts.
And sometimes I wonder, like with social media, you know, we have this private family group, and it serves its purpose for sure to connect people. But then I wonder if it also, you have to create boundaries with it, because then you start comparing yourself. Because lately there's been a few other widows that have found themselves in long-term relationships again and are moving on. And I'm like, man, you know, like I start thinking, when is something like that going to happen for me? And boy, I hope this happens for me at some point. So, you know, it's hard not to compare your journey to someone else's journey when you're at the exact same point. And
but nobody's at the exact same point. You have a shared experience, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, the judgment comes in of self. Stop it. Like Bob Newhart, stop it.
Exactly.
Doing that. Yeah. And it's your journey. Like we always say, life is a marathon, you know, not a sprint. This is your ride, man. It doesn't matter what the car next to you is doing.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. When it's right for you, it's right for you.
Right.
That's strength in self. That's confident in trusting yourself again. You know, a lot of people, oh, I don't trust people. No, you don't trust yourself because you made bad decisions or something happened, like I should have known better. So here we go again into the
Christy,
cycle.
I resemble that remark.
We all do. We all do. You are not alone.
I'm just going to drink.
The conversation we just had before you go.
Oh, there you go. I'm always timely. I've been told.
But in that same, I've also said I've been there too, because that's how we learn. The only way to move past is to learn that mistake. You might have to make that mistake a couple times to realize that, oh, that's hot. You shouldn't touch it. Like the stove, you know, like the kids.
Right. But it's really building that level of confidence and trust in yourself again, to know what's going to happen is going to happen. And when you really call it in and you're ready, it'll happen. I can guarantee that one.
We have time for one more thing. Can you walk through what a session, a generic session looks like when they first come, like when they first come to you, you know, the process. Are you just sitting there and telling them you're asleep? I know that's not the case. I know that's not the case, but you know,
how many minutes do I have? Can I have a minute?
You can have as long as you want.
I'm going to do what's called a suggestibility test for you. Okay.
Oh God.
I invite you ladies, go ahead. And this is really what hypnosis is.
Okay.
the power of suggestion and visualization, which we hear about meditation and visualization, but people don't understand that this is really what hypnosis is, except to get you in a much more relaxed state. Like you don't care. It's great. You're on a beach somewhere. Go ahead. I invite you to close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths all the way into your belly. Breathing all the way in and all the way out. Just breathing all the way in and all the way out resets your nervous system. You do it 6 times. You struggle with anxiety. You take that breath all the way in for 6 and all the way out for 12. And do that 6 times. You're doing great. So go ahead now, and wherever you are, visualize or pretend that you're walking into your kitchen. And as you walk into your kitchen, you go over to the refrigerator. And with your dominant hand, you open the refrigerator. And inside the refrigerator, you see a bright, shiny yellow lemon. Pick up the lemon and notice, is it smooth or is it bumpy? Can you smell it? Is it hard or is it squishy? Now take the lemon and put it over on the counter in the kitchen. And then go over to the drawer where the knives are. And take out a knife. Go back over to the kitchen counter and cut the lemon in half. And cut the lemon in half again. And now pick up a piece of that lemon, put it in your mouth, and take a bite. Open your eyes. Did you see the lemon?
Yeah, it had a rotten spot.
There you go. Did you cut the lemon?
Yes.
Did you taste the lemon?
Uh-huh.
Did you react to the lemon? Watch the video. You'll see your faces.
Yeah.
That's how simple hypnosis is. Now, some people don't like lemons. They won't allow themselves to taste the lemon. But that simple walk of visualization is the process into hypnosis. It's deep relaxation and hyperfocus, where your cognitive brain relaxes and your subconscious mind knows what's best for you and allows suggestion.
And is it difficult for people? My mind doesn't stop.
Yeah, no,
I know a lot of people.
Oh my God, I'm thinking about going to Jewel and I'm thinking I got to do the laundry. That's okay. That's actually okay, because while you're so distracted cognitively, your subconscious mind is still wide open listening to me. So you can float those. I tell people all the time, just float those thoughts away on a bookshelf or a cloud. There's nothing you need to do right now, and nobody needs you. Right here, right now is this time for you.
Yeah, and it was definitely very easy.
Overthinkers.
Yeah.
It's amazing what it can do for overthinkers.
Yeah, it was easy to focus on the lemon. It was something very simple. Like my refrigerator was empty. There was just a lemon in there.
Well, see, and I'm sure that's not the truth, but
no, that's what I'm saying. Like,
so you follow those simple directions, you're a perfect candidate for hypnosis. And hypnosis really is like a muscle. So the more that you do it, even for yourself, for relaxation or anxiety or whatever is coming up for you, the more you get in a practice of doing it, the easier it becomes. If I have people that are somnambulous now, which is literally, I can go sleep. And I don't say the word sleep because you're not asleep. No. You have 4 brain waves and none of them are, Delta's the only one that you're like, and some people do go there. I'll just laugh and just keep talking over their snoring, but they do go there and I know they're relaxed. So I know that at least they got some rest.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But the subconscious mind is always open and listening because that's its job.
Which is where our dreams come from, our nightmares come from then in sleep, right?
Yeah.
Essentially.
True. I have a few other beliefs on that one, but yeah.
Yeah, that's for another show because I'm very intrigued with that as well. The mind stuff amazes me because we can heal it. We don't think we can.
Oh, you can.
We're told we can't. I think growing up in certain families, you don't believe it. You can, but this is a perfect way of. I'm like so relaxed right now.
I know. Me too.
Hey, sorry. I'm like, oh, have I been drinking? No, I'm not slurring my words. I'm good. What is one thing? Well, first, what is the name of your business?
It's Inspired Change Hypnosis and Coaching. And it's Inspired Change at Gmail, or it's Inspired Change everywhere. Facebook.
Instagram.
My website. Yeah. Instagram. Yeah. My Instagram. Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yes. LinkedIn is just my name, Tracy Harwell. But Inspired Change is on there, but it's personal, not the business page.
Okay. Fantastic. So anybody can reach out to you to
Yeah,
have
at
any
any
questions
time.
answered.
My number is on my website, inspiredchangehypnosis.com. Yeah, and I can do sessions just like this.
Clearly.
People think they have to come into my office or they have to be in my neighborhood, and they do not. They can be in the comfort of their own couch or sitting in their bed. I prefer you sitting up so that I don't miss you off camera and I can't see you. It works great. It works great online.
Good, good. So it's accessible anywhere for you whenever you need it. Those tools will be there for you, for your ability to, after a bad call, after a long day, stress, not stress. She's going to give you those tools to overcome.
Yeah. Bring yourself back into a state of balance and groundedness. We all need that. Everybody in this world needs to be more grounded.
Right. Maybe find yourself somebody you didn't know was there. I know, and again, Robyn and I have had this conversation that I'm still discovering who I am, which I think we do our entire life. But we've discovered ourselves just by talking to each other. We've discovered a lot about ourselves as we continue to do this. So this excites me when we have somebody like you on, Tracy, because it's huge for us to be able to, you know, even if somebody just takes a little bit from this one and a little bit from that one, they're gathering things to help them through and make their day a better day. With that being said, what is something or a little tip that you can give somebody to make it through the week? So when they get to their Friday.
Okay. So I did it in your suggestibility process, the breathing. Breathing is a big deal. It's called the breath of life for a reason. And we can really calm our bodies. And I think when events happen, or we get hyper focused or anxious or worried, or, you know, that's what we're doing. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen today? We can stop and we can check in with our bodies and we can breathe. And we all breathe like from way up high. We need to do a deep breath into the belly and do it at least 6 times. And for anxiety specifically, whatever your count is in, you want to breathe out through your mouth double. So if you're taking in a 5, you let out a 10. Taking in a 10, let out a 20. And it becomes a lung exercise, actually, but it's keeping you present in the moment. It's resetting your nervous system. And it really is helping the body relax. And it should take down that level. The other one is I'm a big studier on the vagus nerve. And that's in the back of your head, like right between the base, right? And that's where all trauma is held, frankly, in the body. In women, we carry a lot of it in our hips and the psoas, and that's a whole nother show. But you can do this simple exercise again to reset the nervous system. And I would do it 3 to 4 times, but you're going to look all the way right. And then you're going to follow your head right. And then you're going to come back to center and you're going to look all the way left. Turn your head all the way left and come back to center. And just doing that like 6 times while taking deep breaths resets the nervous system. Again, allowing the body and the mind to come back down into the current space.
That's fantastic. Do you have anything left to say, Robyn?
No, just thank you. It's been
thank you guys. I was like, you know how bad this is, like divinely guided, totally divinely guided. So thank you.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Like I said, I'm a true believer of that. I know that per our conversation, and Robyn and I had not talked all week. We actually haven't talked
in a while.
Yeah, we haven't had a one-on-one conversation in a while. So that for that to come up exactly at the same time, it just shows people come to you at certain times for certain reasons. Yeah. And you're coming to us now. I know some of our listeners will take that in and be like, this is exactly what I needed it. So thank you for everything and taking time away from your little getaway. But go enjoy yourself. Yes, and then I will see you, I'm sure, soon.
Yes,
I look forward to it. So thank you.
I can't wait to do more with you guys.
I know.